All right, when we're putting this into a word problem, the period p seconds of a pendulum is the time it takes to complete one full swing. The period can be determined using the formula 2 pi times the square root of L over 9.8, where L is the length of the pendulum in meters. What is the length to the nearest hundredth of a meter of a pendulum swing, which takes 2 seconds to complete a full swing? So, if I am solving this, then I'm going to say that if P is the time it takes, then I actually have 2 is equal to 2 pi and the square root of L over 9.8. I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi to isolate the radical. Which means that I can say that 1 over pi is equal to the square root of L over 9.8. I'm going to square both sides. And I'm going to say that 1 over pi squared is equal to L over 9.8. And when I multiply both sides by 9.8, L is going to equal 9.8 divided by pi squared, which, when I put that into my calculator, I get 0.99 meters. And for example 4, two adjacent sides of a parallelogram have measures of the square root of 14n minus 45 centimeters and 2n. Determine the actual lengths of the two sides of the perimeter of the parallelogram of has a perimeter of 54 centimeters. So, if you think of what a parallelogram looks like, then I'm going to have the two sides here are going to be parallel. The two sides here are going to wind up being parallel. If two adjacent sides have measures of this and this, then I'm going to say that it doesn't matter which side you pick, one side is going to be 14n minus 45, and the other side is going to be 2n. Which means that this would also be 2n, and this would also be the square root of 14n minus 45. So, starting by building our equation, 54 is going to equal 2 times 2n plus 2 times the square root of 14n minus 45. Then I can say that 54 is going to equal 4n plus 2 and 14n minus 45. I'm going to move the 4n over to the other side, and I'm going to say that 54 minus 4n, or negative 4n plus 54, is equal to 2 and root 4n minus 45. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Negative 2n plus 27 is equal to the square root of 14n minus 45. And now I can square both sides. And I'm going to state that 4n squared minus 108n plus 729 is equal to 14n minus 45. I'm going to move everything to one side and say that I have 4n squared minus 122n plus 774 is equal to 0. If I want to simplify my numbers, I'm going to divide everything by 2 and say that I have 2n squared minus 61n plus 387 is equal to 0, or that 2n minus 43 times n minus 9 are equal to 0. N could either prospectively be 21.5 or 9. Now, we could double check both of them, but I can see right away, just by looking at it from the word problem, that if I take 21.5, well, if this is 2n and this is 2n, that's already going to be bigger than my total of 54. So I can tell right away that's not going to work. So instead, I'm going to check and see if my 9s work. And I'm going to state that if 9 is the correct solution for these, then one side is going to be 2 times 9, or 18. And the other side is going to be the square root of 14 times 9 minus 45, or the square root of 81, which means that these sides would be 9. If I take 18 plus 18 plus 9 plus 9, that does in fact give me 54, which means what are the actual lengths? The lengths are 18 centimeters by 9 centimeters. And there's my solution.